temperature tonight.
Hello and welcome back to A Foreigner and Family in the Philippines, and this is an update video on the Isuzu Elf truck that we purchased. It is a 4x4, but it's a lot older than I had thought it was. There was something when I looked at some paperwork that led me to believe that it wasn't quite as old as it was. So I did probably one of the worst truck purchases I could make in the Philippines, and bought a really old Isuzu Elf. So, but the fact that it is a Isuzu is one good thing about it. They hold up, but I mean, it's a surplus. I had made up a video about it before where it was they reached the end of their life cycle in Japan, and then they shipped them over here. They take them apart, ship them over here, and then rebuild them, and then they get a whole new life here in the Philippines. So, and the only reason I got that truck over my Isuzu D-Max over there, which has been holding up great. The only thing I've had to replace on it was the clutch lining and the pressure plate. And that was probably already worn before I got it, and I've been babying it. But is this bed? The other one, it has the king cab, or it has like the crew cab on it, so it takes away the bed of the truck. So it's I need to be able to haul things, but man, and I didn't know. I was just trying to find one that had already been pieced together, because a lot of them they're trying to sell you a truck that's not even put. How are you going to buy a truck like that? A piece of a used up, put back together thing when you don't even know what it's going to be. But they try to sell it to you before you even see it, so you don't know what it's going to end up being. So I finally found a couple that were for sale, and there were some real gemstones out there. A couple of pieces of junk. And I almost got one much cheaper, like 280,000 pesos, until I saw an engine leak that was in two places that was pretty severe. I didn't think they would actually replace whatever was on it. They were probably just going to weld a piece on it, and I didn't know that would hold up, so that got me to back out of it. So I paid 425,000 pesos for this one, and it probably had more problems than that other one. And the steering box up here in the front was leaking. We had some hydraulics and a rap video go off on us when we were just driving down the street, and it was because one of the steering rods was loose. And we were taking it in for some other repair. And we went down the mountain, and then one of the brakes failed. It's had some air in the line somehow. Fortunately, that didn't happen to us going down the mountain, so that was good. I'm just going to list what issues it had. The differential down here was leaking. One of the bearing on that side was leaking grease. Not only was the steering box leaking at the bottom of the steering box, but it was leaking up where also it connected. Two of the radiator hoses were also leaking, so that was an issue. And neither one of those hoses got replaced. All they did was get taken. One just got tightened, and the other one got taken off and put some liquid gasket on it, and then reattached and tightened back up. So we did get this truck back. We had to get a travel pass in order to get back into where the mechanic was. And the mechanic and it took it back 3 times to the place where we purchased it from, because we only had a 30-day warranty on it. Now, they did take care of almost all the known issues. So I'm sure there's going to be some things that sprout up on this bad boy here in the near future, but except for the alignment, the Elf pulls to the left pretty hard. I mean, you take your hands off the steering wheel for a second and it pulls to the left really hard. But besides the alignment being out, the wheel is also askew. It's actually tilted, so it's like you're making a right, but you're not. But it's two separate things. One is it's just the way the steering wheel is attached on there is off. Not a big deal. But what is a big deal is that the alignment is still pulling to the left. So 425,000 pesos. I regret that. I regret this one, but it will still get some use out of it if I can get it around on here. It's got some issues with how it handles the hills. I mean, just because we're up here in the mountain, just even on the pavement, without a load, it just slows it down a little bit. We had a little bit of a load because I brought up when we did pick it up from the mechanic there. It had a little bit of fertilizer in the back, and it had some little bit. It was dogging it a little bit, and I'm also getting used to driving it. It's not like driving a truck like that over there. So it does take a little finesse with the, I guess, shifting and knowing when to down gear on some of those hills and stuff. But it really bogs down. So it'll be interesting to see what kind of load I can actually handle and still get up the mountain. And if you don't have a load, just getting up here to the house was a little bit of a chore. I mean, I'd like to think that even on the road that isn't too bad. I don't have to put it in four-wheel and it's not like the truck over there. You just hit the button for four-wheel, turn the knob, and it's in four-wheel. You have to put it in park. You've got to shift the four-wheel drive gear. You've got to get out of the truck, and you've got to do the wheel locks. You have to get a wrench out, turn the wheel locks on each side of the front tires, and so that's a little bit of an issue. Because I've got some rough terrain, and the two main purposes was so I could have a crew of guys back here and still have mowers and get around to where I need to be. And the other thing that I needed was to be able to put one of these big, I think they're 1,000 liter, these big cubes, these big plastic cubes. I had never seen one before until here, but they're pretty common here. And they're used for irrigation on different things where folks will fill them up with water, and they can be driven around to where they're needed, and water can be put on whatever they need it for. So it would be handy for the farm here if I can manage to drive it around, because I do have the little roads on here from the pineapples, and when we need to irrigate certain areas, or and I'm actually not looking to use it for irrigation. I probably will have some purposes for that, but it'll actually be for when I'm doing the liquid fertilizer. I'll be able to then drive it to an area and be able to fill up the sprayer tanks for the liquid fertilizer. That'll be a big deal. So we got the Isuzu Elf truck back. Finally, glad we got it back. It would have been nice if they had fixed that, the steering as well, but we did at least get most of the things that were an issue when we purchased it taken care of, and we'll just have to see how it holds up. That's it for now. Please like, comment, share, and subscribe.